Hey everyone, Robbie here. Another episode of Miscellaneous Candor. Frank, honest, and otherwise outspoken coming to you very shortly. Stephen and I, of course, are having our conversations of the week. Um, I did listen to a new podcast, just like I promised. Tune in to listen and see what it was. Also, too, it's been an interesting conversation. Stephen talks about this interesting healthcare product around AI. He seems to really have some inside scoop on some of these new products that are out there around AI for the healthcare space. So this one is pretty interesting. And then, too, I think I'm saying pretty interesting a lot. I need to think of two more words. Um, and then of course we get into it a little bit, but we talk about some of the other things that are going on. We do talk about the fires and some of the other things that are going on in the world right now. The fires, I'm talking about the LA fires. If you are listening from another part of the world, but overall, we had a good time and we look forward to your feedback. Please follow us, listen, like us, and here we go. Welcome back, everybody. It's Robbie here from Miscellaneous Candor, frank, honest, and otherwise outspoken. Today is episode 26, and I am here with Stephen. Hi, Stephen.
Hello. Yes, Robbie. Yes, my friends, it is I, Stephen Kennedy, your board certified atheist, till death do us part. You like that?
I don't know. I mean, it's about marriage.
Okay,
I
well,
don't
we're
even believe in marriage.
and we're off to a good start.
As
Well,
usual. As usual. So, podcast that we listen to. I said I was going to try to listen to something new every week. I did. So I listened to this new podcast. Remember, I was talking last week about the daily because I don't know if I told the audience this, but I'm on a 30-day. What did you say?
so why don't you remind our audience and me too?
Oh, okay. So the daily it's actually, from what I understand or heard, the daily is one of the top podcasts ever, and it is essentially daily snippets and updates of news from the New York Times. So I've been listening to that because I have not been on Instagram since January 1st. So
That's
that's what
right.
I've been, fasting from Instagram. That's what I've been doing.
How's that going?
It's going fine. I haven't been on.
Wow.
But the podcast that I listen to is because I figured I'm going to listen to the daily, even though it's not as like, people are all, "Oh, the New York Times, the super lefty, blah, blah, blah." But the daily is not. However, I decided that I was going to start listening to the Fox News Rundown, which is equivalent to the daily, and it's a podcast too. And they have morning and night segments by Fox News. And you know me, I like to make sure I hear both sides of circumstances. But it is interesting on what they choose to talk about. I think um, what I have noticed is that Fox News, they are talking about news stories, but the one thing that they both talked about in the same week was the fires, the LA fires.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think anyone's surprised about that because
Right.
let's just say, I'm going to say this for anyone out there that does listen to us, who is affected or know someone who's affected from me. It's not Stephen. He's not going to say this, but my prayers going out to you and to your family. I do hope that, it's hard to put into words when people just lose almost everything, but definitely my heart and prayers, everything is going out to everybody who's suffering. I have a lot of friends, a couple people who, like friends of friends who've lost homes, and friends. who were evacuated. A lot of people I know are evacuated. So just a lot of anxiety and it's just
Mhm.
craziness. That fire is crazy. But I listened to Fox News Rundown. So that was the new podcast that I listened to. How about you, Stephen?
I did
What did you
not.
listen to?
No, I did not. It's been a crazy week, so no. Unfortunately, I have not listened to any new podcasts this week. So,
Oh, and did I tell you that I listened to your podcast, Stephen? I didn't get through the whole
my
thing.
podcast, which one?
Not Today, Pal, with Jamie
Oh,
Lynn
what do you
Sigler.
think?
So it was the
Hasn't she gotten
one.
hot?
What?
Hasn't she gotten hot?
You mean her voice?
I mean, her voice and her face and her body.
Okay, so first of all, I wasn't watching it on YouTube. I was just listening to
Oh,
it.
okay. All right. But her voice has gotten hot, hasn't it?
Is it though? I mean, she sounds like Meadow Soprano.
No, no, no. She sounds like a woman now. So
Okay, Steve.
what did you think? What did you think? Moving on.
I mean, honestly, they're just talking about mess. It's her and two guys. Uh, it seems like I would listen to the episode where she was actually running the show.
Ah, okay.
And so that one was interesting. They were talking about, I mean, they were just talking about random things. And then she started talking about how she wanted to start placing bets from football. And then the guy was telling her what to do. And that's when I stopped listening to it. Like he
Yeah,
was
it's
walking her
it's it's a
through.
lot of nothing.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
I seem to like those. I don't know why.
Yeah, there's a pattern.
Well, no, I told you why, because there was a lot of conversation. I think the common thread between all of these that there's a lot of conversation that there are things that you often think about maybe while sitting on the toilet, but they're not actual things that you'd spend time discussing outward with people. And when you listen to these things, you can relate to the topics they're talking about, and they're actually sitting and discussing them out loud.
Okay.
But what I do want you to hear is the Jason Alexander podcast. That
Okay.
have you heard that yet?
I have not. I will listen to it. I will listen to it because this is the goal. Every week I'm going to listen to something new and have something new to post in terms of my podcast. Of course, I have all my favorites. I listen to Prop G Markets, I listen to Anthony Scaramucci and
Mhm.
Katie K. Um,
80K? Seriously? Oh my God.
yes. You don't like Katie K?
No, no, no.
What's wrong with Katie K? What's
Uh,
she do to you?
it's not. I don't know.
You don't
I,
think Katie K is hot for an older lady?
no, absolutely not. Oh, what's wrong with you?
Not. What's
Uh,
wrong with okay,
Not to be
give me
offensive. She's a wonderful lady.
no, why don't you like Katie K for real? Like,
I just,
I don't wanna I want because you mean you went hard to the ugh
I just
side,
don't. I
so
think she's a lot of hype. I don't find anything about what she has to share to be so appealing. I think she's overhyped. I don't know.
interesting.
I'm not,
Okay.
not a big fan.
Well,
But
I like their podcast. You should listen to their podcast because you don't like her and
fine. I'll
see
listen to one. I'll listen to one.
yes, just listen because you do like Anthony Scaramucci like me.
Yes.
You said that. So, the mooch. Uh, he's something else. I will say this.
But you are going to listen to Jason Alexander this week, right?
Yes, I am. I'm going to
And
do that.
for all the people that don't know who Jason Alexander is, he's George Costanza on Seinfeld. He's brilliant. Brilliant.
I I think you've mentioned that like 150,000 times on the
I
podcast.
mean,
So,
the
I could be
summer of
wrong.
George. I mean, wasn't that show the best show in television back in the 90s? I think to this day, it's still the best TV show.
Here's my thing about Seinfeld. I think Seinfeld, Friends,
Forget
um,
Friends.
Sex in the
Oh,
City,
God. Did I
what's
just
that?
say God?
Larry David,
Why?
all those shows. What is that? What's the one? Parks and Recreation,
Yeah.
The Office. All those shows have like these followings. Schitt's Creek. They have like these followings, and people like they're like a dog, not on a bone, but just like on a giant piece of steak that just can never be devoured, and they just latch on, and they're just like, "It's the greatest thing ever." And so I feel like you can't even have that conversation with somebody who likes those shows
That's true. Yeah.
because they just love them and they will love them, and there's nothing if you don't like them or if you're kind of like, it's kind of like, "What's wrong with you?"
Oh, I could never date a girl that doesn't like Seinfeld. If everything was going fantastic and I popped the question, and when I say pop the question, the question is, do you like Seinfeld? That's what I mean by popping the question. And she said no, I'd be, out of there. It would be over.
Well, I have to say, since we're talking about Jason Alexander's podcast, the Seinfeld thing, etc. I kind of feel that about people who are kind of meh about Star Wars.
Mm,
And I
yeah.
know it's like, you like Star Wars? I do. Like I like all of them, but I am a 4, 5, 6 gal. I will say that.
Oh yeah. Absolutely.
Like those are the ones for me.
Yeah. I
Um,
think that's it for everyone that grew up back in the 70s and 80s. It's 4, 5, 6. Those are the most authentic.
well, that's the one. Those are the authentic ones. I think the other ones, the last ones were okay. And then 1, 2, and 3, I
Oh,
think there's
those are
a phase of people who like those too. 1 wasn't the greatest, but 2 and 3 were pretty good. And then you wanna go back and watch 4, 5, 6 if that's what you started with, right? And then you realize why those were so good, etcetera. But I'm not saying I would count anyone out, like, if I was dating somebody who didn't like them, but I am saying that the eyebrow goes up. The eyebrow
well,
the one eyebrow goes up like, "Really? You're not?
and
Okay."
I think that's valid because if you're a guy, especially, and you're not a fan of Star Wars, there is something a little bit off with you. Or if you haven't seen, I've met some guys that have never seen Star Wars, and I'm thinking, are you, what's wrong with you? There's some component missing. But I do know, I think it's hard to actually find a girl that is a big fan of Star Wars. So I've let that one go.
Oh, yeah, I could see that. I could see that. Because I like those, and then I'm not deep into Star Trek, but I've seen enough of them, like the movies, right?
Yeah.
And then I'm into Lord of the Rings too. I
Oh
like
wow.
those movies, yeah. I like those movies. So, like, let's say they didn't see Star Wars, but they were all in Lord of the Rings, like, I would be like, "Okay, that's alright." Or and I mean, this is not a deal breaker for me, but I'm just it sounds like it's a deal breaker for you. It's not a deal breaker for me, um, but, uh, yeah, but deal breaker for me is I definitely like, one of the big things outside of compatibility is, someone who makes me laugh. Like, I need to be able to be with somebody that makes me laugh.
Oh yeah. Yeah,
That's
absolutely.
super important for
I
me.
think that's like the number one for me too. Yeah, if you
I
can't,
wouldn't say it's the number 1 for me, but I would say that it's very high up there because life is crazy, and if you don't know how to laugh at it, it's just not fun. And
yeah,
then if you're, like, the funny one, but then the other person you're with isn't like that's just boring to me. Like,
it
I
is right. You got to be able to like, laugh with and at each other.
Yes, yes.
Otherwise, life sucks, right?
I mean, why is
Why
it
do I, why
I
do I find
feel
myself
like
agreeing
you
with you
go
so much today?
so far to the end. Like, it's never life sucks. Life's end. People are horrible. I'm just like, why is everything so, like, way to the hardcore end, to the
Because
extreme?
that's the way it is. Life sucks, you know?
Oh my god, life does not suck. You should be grateful for everything that you have.
Well,
Even when stuff
blah, blah.
okay, we're not going down there. Okay, so, we talked about podcasting. I
Life
think we're
sucks.
done
You
with
got
it.
to deal with really foolish people throughout the day, every day, and it gets really tiring. I just need a cave where I can go live in by myself,
Okay, you
not
know
be
what,
around
Steven?
people.
So, audience, we said that we were going to have a part 4, and it doesn't mean that we're always gonna be in order. So, Stephen, I would like you, since we do have kind of what our personal journey and personal struggles are, we had a conversation before the podcast people. Stephen, I'm just gonna say it. Let it out. What
Oh,
happened today, Stephen? Just let it out, Stephen.
oh. Well, I am tired. What happened today? I am tired of working with some really I work with some really foolish people that really don't understand what's going on, but they're playing the game, they're trying to get a promotion and this and that, and just dealing with you know, grade school was great because you could walk away from someone if you didn't like a kid in school and you could just ignore them the rest of the time, just pretend they don't exist. Fortunately, you can't do that when you're working. So, yeah, I'll leave it at that.
So that's it?
Yeah, I'll just leave it at that.
Okay. Okay, I'm just gonna say that for me, I think I have been struggling a little bit with this whole, with the fires and just the impact on people.
Yeah.
I have a tendency a friend of mine said sometimes I'm too nice, and I have other friends that say, "Psst, that's not true," right? Because I definitely can give what I get, let's to say the least. But I have a soft heart, and I think that I just am so I wouldn't say I really am hurting for all of the people.
Yeah,
Like, when I
I've seen.
see the
I've seen.
devastation,
Yeah.
and it just touches me in a way that it's hard for me to put into words. I was even thinking like, "Okay, should I go down there and just help for a few days?"
Hmm.
I think I'm really more really concerned about the people in the Pasadena, Altadena area
Hmm.
just because, those were more like people like us, like people who go to jobs, trying to do the best they can. They figured out how to get a house and now they don't have anything.
Hmm.
And I'm not saying that that's not the case for the people in Pacific Palisades, but
No, I
it's
mean, there's.
definitely a huge gap, right?
Yeah.
Like Larry Ellison lost his house for 30 years, that he'd been there forever. Now, he said he lost some memories. I'm sorry, Larry. I mean, I'm not saying that
Right.
they're
Right.
but he's not going to be fighting with FEMA and his insurance
Right.
company and
Right.
all of that stuff and trying to see, is he ever gonna be able to rebuild what he lost?
He's gonna be just
He's
fine.
not gonna do it. He's gonna be okay. He has things in place to be able to do that, and even if he does go through insurance, he has so many teams of people that can help him, and
Yeah.
there's a lot of people in that area like that, and I'm not saying that I am discounting their loss.
Right.
I'm
Yeah,
just saying that it's gonna be easier for
it's gonna be a much bigger worry for the ordinary man as opposed to
Yeah.
something like Larry Ellison.
Yeah, and I just think about that because people work so hard for these things and then
Yeah.
it's just gone. And, you can never say what is going to happen, but that goes back to me saying, you got to be grateful because you literally never know. You
Yeah.
can't say that these people knew last week or 2 weeks ago that this was going to happen to them. They
Right.
weren't thinking this, especially in January.
Do
So
they was there any discovery on any results on figuring out how the fires got started? Because, it's
there's
California,
still
it's like a
work. I
100% chance of
know.
arson.
Okay, so here's one thing I have to say. I do have to say this. We had a conversation where we had a guest and we were talking about DEI and,
Yeah.
people for it, against it, etc.
Yeah.
There's no viable reason that DEI is the reason for the Pacific Palisades fire.
Who would
I
say
know
that? No
that
one said that. Who
you
said
didn't
that?
know about that.
No. Who said that?
Your friend Elon Musk on Twitter said that DEI was the reason for the fires.
Is this some kind of joke? How did he even
No!
what's the
Oh,
connection
you know
with
what?
that?
Let's do this in real time. I need you to get on your
Alright.
phone right now
Alright.
and go on Google and Google Elon Musk DEI fires and see what comes up, and look at the I don't know, is it called a tweet on X? I think so. I don't know anymore. Um, just do it, and then we can have this conversation. I
No.
just I just am like, okay, everything is because of DEI. No, it's not. The and the idea
Whoa, we're
that
talking about the
anyone
fire the fire chief and all that were they're saying that they're DEI hires, right? The people that are in charge of
No,
um
but did you see the tweet? I want
no,
you to look at the
okay, hold
Google the tweet. We can talk about
on.
the
Okay.
fire chief and all of that stuff, but Google the tweet.
All right, hold
And I'm just gonna say that the day that when it did burn, the winds were hurricane winds. They're like 100 miles per hour. 80. They could not. No one could go in the air to do water drops,
on. Yeah.
which is why the fire spread so quickly and burned so many houses. So I'm like, okay, I'm not even saying this is climate change. I mean, it is, but even if you say that it's not, you cannot discount the fact that the winds were freaking 100 miles per hour, 80 miles. Like, that's a fact. That was on the ground. So how can you know that and then take and say this was the reason?
Yeah, yeah, so I just saw a tweet saying DEI means people DIE, right? That's the one you're talking about?
Yeah.
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 These are such far-reaching conclusions. There's really absurd.
Okay, so
What
this
you know
fire
what?
chief had like all this. Yes, I guess she's was gay or something. I don't know. And I say was because the mayor fired her. I understood. Um, but she had like um all of this experience, like tons of experience when they pulled up her resume.
Mhm.
So I don't think that that is a reason. And another thing I will say too, even if they have all these quote unquote DI things that are happening, that's not relevant to the reason why the fires happen. The fires happened and those people's houses burned in Pacific Palisade because of those winds on the first 2 days. Period.
Yeah.
End stop. You cannot have hurricane winds and a fire and dryness. And it was in January. We never have fires in California for the most part in January.
Yeah.
So the fact that there were things that weren't 100%, it's because they weren't expecting that to happen, because usually there's a but now there's not a fire season. So there's not a fire season. Let me finish my thought. So I just think that enough already. Like, what are you gonna blame and what are you even saying about DEI? That anyone who's not DEI, quote unquote, that they're the only people that could solve things? I mean, I'm just tired of like all of this and
Well, no, I
pain
think
and like
what people are
hatred.
saying is that these people were hired specifically for DEI purposes, and they're underqualified compared to other people. That's what the assumption is being
I
made.
know that's what the assumption is, but you can't say that in relationship to 100-mile-per-hour
There,
winds.
yeah,
Like, that
there are
just
so many
it does
factors.
not that doesn't that's a non sequitur.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah,
there's no
right, right.
connection there. There literally is no connection there.
But
And the evidently, what I understand, in the fire department, that woman who's the chief, she's like the only woman and one other one, and everybody else is a male,
mhm,
a white male.
mhm,
What I understand. So I don't really understand like what that has to do with anything.
yeah,
And I'm tired of all of this hatred. Like,
yeah,
we're talking about, things we're dealing with. I'm really tired of all the hatred and
yeah,
everything. I just it's getting old.
yeah,
It's getting old. So
yeah.
that's what I have to
But
say about that.
that's what humans do, right? They like to hate. They love to hate. They're animals.
Oh my God, why did I
Wait,
say
wait, what?
anything?
I'm just making my
Okay, let's go to AI.
yeah. Well, one thing I wanted to bring up really fast. Did you hear
Okay.
about
What?
people now looting businesses that have
Yeah,
been
that's
that have
another
been
thing too.
evacuated and hit by the fire? And
I can't get my mind
it,
around that. Like, their hands need to be cut off.
yeah, it's
I
disgusting. And then
probably shouldn't.
apparently one guy dressed up as a fireman to go inside of houses and looting houses. I mean, this is just absurd.
It's absurd, but I will say this. Um, there's such a focus on how much someone has and what you have and what you own and how much you're worth and your money and all of
Yeah.
this that I think it's just taking people to a place where people are just really just on a whole different level in terms of what they will do
Mhm.
just to get something to be able to say that they have this, that, and the other.
Mhm. I think
And
it's kind of
I mean, I think that person is disgusting who did that. But the fact that that's where we are, it's just like character doesn't matter, integrity doesn't matter, type of person you are doesn't matter. It's just like, oh, if you have a whole lot of money, then you're good.
Mhm. Mhm.
And not that's not always the case. Like there
Yeah.
used to be the whole of a person. It's almost like that's almost gone now. And
Yeah.
that's sad too.
A
That's
lot
sad
of
to
it
me.
due to social media and
Yep.
that circular propelling up into a tornado, you know. Um, but a friend of mine sent me a chart showing what people considered to be wealthy back, what amount of money people considered to be wealthy back in the 80s versus what people consider to be wealthy today. And the difference was absurd. Now, the amount, I think what people considered to be wealthy back in the 80s, I think it was 500,000. And that was what people wanted to achieve to be, feel completely, wealthy. And now it's a whole different world. And a lot of it is because of social media and, just puts just so, money in such a such a light that it's disturbing.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Okay. Let's go on to you have something really interesting from an AI perspective. So I want you to talk
Yeah,
to the audience about that.
are you a dog person or a cat person?
I'm a dog person.
Oh,
Actually,
that's
you
fine.
know
Yeah.
what? I have a big dog. Um, but I have to say I do love cats because I've had 3 cats.
I hate cats. I like them when they're
What?
I like
You
I like
hate
them when I like
cats?
them when they're really small, but once they're full grown, although I
What?
tell you a
Cats are
little
so sweet.
they're creepy and just don't they're sometimes they're you go into the kitchen, they're gonna be on top of your fridge and staring you
Okay.
down. It freaks me out, climbing all over your countertops and you sit down on a couch with someone that's got a cat and you got all these hairs all over your clothes. It's disgusting. But I will say I actually in my backyard a couple summers ago we got some strays and they started making babies and I fell in love with the babies. It was just watching them grow. We started feeding them and it kind of I got attached. I got very attached. So I go outside and play with them every day and watch them grow from like little mouse-sized kittens right from
Mhm.
birth. And I got very attached to the mother as well. And so I go out, and they're feral cats, and
Yeah.
she begin. It takes a while to get their trust, so she began to trust me, and I go out there and she rub up against me, and I'd rub her and all that stuff. And then one day I noticed some bumps along my wrist, and then noticed the dogs were scratching their ears a lot, just kept on scratching their bodies. We took them to the vet. Turned out they have fleas. I gave my dogs fleas.
From the cats.
Yeah.
Okay, and that's why you hate the cats?
No, that's not why. I mean, but my point is, it's a funny story where I grew attached to cats, but I'm still not a cat person. But the fact that
Okay.
I got fleas and gave them to dogs is pretty.
Okay, so that's not AI. So
That's not AI. No.
let's talk about let's talk about what
Oh,
you told me.
um,
It's pretty cool,
yeah.
okay?
There's actually a new take-home cancer test called Spot It Early. SPOTITEARLY. Spot It Early. And basically, you get this test in the mail, and it's got a mask in it. It's a mask like a COVID mask, a heavy COVID mask, and you put it around your face for about 3 minutes, and you breathe into it for 3 minutes, and then you pack it back and you send it off to the lab. And at the lab, they so basically, let me just read a little excerpt for you. Exhaled breath contains over 1,000 volatile organic compounds that represent rich source of biomarkers associated with metabolic processes and diseases in the body, each identified with a significant odor signature. So if you want to do a cancer test, you breathe into this mask, you send it off to the lab. At the lab, the scientists take this mask and put it into their system, and it basically separates out all different odors. And through a machine, they have a set of dogs that then go to each scent and sniff it. And the lab's technology monitors the dog's body language. Okay, so with that body language, the body language of the dogs is collected by the system, and AI algorithms then determine the likelihood of cancerous presence in each of the samples. And there's a 95% accuracy in these results. And it tests for the four most common cancers. Actually, right now, you can test for breast cancer and lung cancer, but upcoming will be colorectal and also prostate cancer. So it's pretty amazing. Um, and in dogs, they use dogs because dogs have superior sense of smell. So there's actually um, no other smelling capability with other animals compared to dogs. So that's why they're used. Isn't that a heartwarming story?
I mean, it is, but I have some questions. Like, how long have they been in business? Spotted early.
It's pretty new. It's not, they're still doing clinical trials. So it's not,
Okay.
but I think I'm definitely gonna, that's actually contradictory. I think I'm going to, I think I'm going to do it myself.
Okay, well, you can let the audience know. I'm gonna hold my judgment on this. Uh,
Yeah, if I do this and I find out I have something, I might be crying the next time we talk.
so but that's not the case. Um, I don't know. I'm gonna reserve judgment.
Yeah,
I mean, it's just I
it's hard to believe, I know.
yes, to
Yeah.
say the least. It's just there's a lot of things there, and
Yeah, I mean, I definitely have not. I haven't looked into all the case studies and the numbers. I have not explored that, but
like,
um,
where's the 95%? Who are they treating? How many subjects?
yeah,
Who
yeah, these
which
are all
kind of
questions.
dogs?
Yeah,
How did they I don't know. How do they what's the AI built on that's doing the detecting on it? There's just a lot of questions that I have around this, that I'm sure other people do too. So I'm
yeah.
not sitting thinking I'm just some
I
brainiac or that,
I
but I'm
know.
just
I encourage everyone to explore this if you want to find an easy way to test for cancer without having to go into a doctor's office. It's something to look into. Again, I haven't done deep research to find out how actually um, realistic is this, but thought it was an interesting one.
yeah, like what are their percentage of false positives?
Yeah. Well, I mean, that would be 5% because 95% accuracy as they claim.
I know as they claim, but again, like I said,
Yeah. Yeah. There has to be an external party verification on this.
I don't know. Anyway, reserved for judgment, but I think the intention behind it is, wanting to make it easier for people to figure out if they have cancer or not earlier.
Yeah.
So that's pretty interesting. Um, I have a few things for AI. One,
Phew. Oof.
yeah, excuse me. I'm just gonna say two, but one was Mark Zuckerberg's announcement. Did you hear it?
No. What announcement?
So Mark Zuckerberg decided that he was going to remove all of the fact checkers from Meta.
Oh, interesting.
There's not going to be any more fact checkers, and that they're going to have a system that is very similar to X, where people do community notes. So if you are a user, you're the one responsible for correcting any inaccuracies that you see.
Interesting.
Um, and he just went on Joe Rogan, which I'm going to listen to that podcast and just see what he says.
Oh,
So evidently he's talking about how he felt, I guess, almost bullied by Biden and all of this stuff. So I just, and I know this is because I'm not on
that I heard about.
Instagram for 30 days. I just am like, really? Like, we're already at this point where people are just saying all kinds of crazy things
Yeah,
out here. And now we're going to get to a point where we're not even going to have fact checkers on
yeah.
what he has 3 platforms: WhatsApp, Instagram, and Facebook, right? Where
I
there's
think
nothing. I mean,
what
it's
this
just
comes down to,
crazy. I
I
know it comes down to money and the fact
exactly.
that Trump is in. I mean, that
Wow,
goes without
exactly.
saying. That's
Wow.
a basic intent. I'm not like, duh.
No,
That's not
but
the
no.
point.
What am I?
That's not the point, though. That's
My
not the point
point.
that I'm making.
My
But
point is
you're
that.
interrupting me.
Oh,
I
I'm
haven't
sorry,
finished.
man.
Thank you.
Go speak.
My whatever. My point is that when are people going to take some sort of accountability for all of the how do I say, fallout from these platforms, right? Like, I get that he wants to make money. He's a great
Yeah.
money maker. He's a great money maker. He's great for his shareholders. He's created something that has literally changed our lives. So I'm not going to take that away from him. It just seems like, why would you, like, literally 4 years ago you have fact checkers and you were all against this,
Yeah.
and now you're not. And you go where
Because
the money goes. But at the same time, I do think that I'm hoping there'll be that people will start to say, we just have to ban phones from schools, and kids who
oh,
can't
that's
get
not.
on this stuff till 17 years old. Well, I mean, they're doing it in certain countries. Maybe it will move over to other countries. Now, I have heard this. I've heard that he's going to ban the fact checkers for the most part in the United States, but that in other countries around the world, he's not, because he
Hmm.
realizes that in other countries around the world, not having those fact checkers can literally cause wars and people to do things that will destroy humanity.
Oh, much like the U.S. Okay.
No, I think that they don't feel like that's going to happen.
Uh-huh.
So, okay, so that was my one AI thing, and then I want you to speak on that, but I have the second one. The second one, because it's similar,
Yeah.
is I listened to Pondering AI this week, and this guy was talking about, he's like a anti
Yeah. Are we on the next topic now?
AI. No, I'm talking about AI
No.
still, and then you can
No, no,
talk.
no. But I want to talk about. I want
You
to.
want to talk about Zuckerberg?
Yeah, it's real quick. I want to say.
Okay, okay, okay. What were you
You
gonna say?
know, he's yes. So it's about money. It's about as people have done assessment, they've told him, look, you got to do this. If otherwise, our share is going to drop. So that's what he's doing. But the problem is that so many people will not understand that it's about money, and they're just going to follow what he says as, you know, the Bible, dare I say?
You think so? You think that people are just gonna follow him, but
Oh
and they don't
yeah.
it's about
Oh,
money? I
listen,
don't think that's the case, Stephen. I think
you you
everyone knows it's about money. I think
you
people are just
overestimate
addicted to
humanity.
Instagram
Do you know how
and
many
Facebook.
dumb people we live amongst, Robbie?
Okay, here we go with that. I
Okay, we
think
can go
that
next
people
topic. Next topic.
just no, I think that people just are addicted to these things. And he knows that because they give you dopamine rush.
Yeah, that's true.
And they don't really care if he's gonna make money or not. They're gonna use their freaking Instagram because that's what they do.
Well, next topic.
Why did you? What do you want to say?
No, you want to talk about another AI?
No, I want you to finish. You had a thought. I want
No,
you
no,
to
no, no. I
say.
mean, this can go on for. I mean, we can
Just
talk.
go
We
on. We
can
still
yap
have
all night about.
time. Just
No, it's
say
okay.
it.
It's okay. It's okay.
Steven!
No, I'm good. I'm good. I'm good.
I don't think you're good. I
I'm
think
good.
you have something else to
No, no,
say.
no, no. Um, so you're going to talk about another AI? I don't.
Yeah, I was going to talk about another AI thing. It's just around um, ethical AI and us taking, and this is probably why I'm on this kick, but us kind of reevaluating again what's important and privacy and data and the whole idea of yes, all our data is out there, so it doesn't matter, but do we really need to be thinking that way? Like, can we kind of pull that back and say, well, it is our data and it does matter. And once we have those types of conversations, does that open up more conversations to actions to where maybe, we don't want AI to control us so much without any sort of agency. And that was in a podcast, Pondering AI. There was a guy who was talking about that. So I thought it was an interesting topic and conversation. That's all.
Okay.
You don't have anything to say about that? Just okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Are you falling asleep? What is
No.
happening over there?
Oh no, sorry. Um, so what else do we have to talk about?
So current events. What do you think about DJT, your boy, wanting to take Greenland?
Is that are we talking about the old? That is there something new that came out about that? Did he say
No,
something else stupid? I mean, the latest I heard about him was wanting
you
to
said it's
for
stupid.
the latest I heard about him was that he wanted to use the military to take over the Panama Canal. So, or he wasn't
And
ruling it out.
Greenland.
Oh God. Oh God.
You didn't hear about Greenland? He's
I
gonna
heard
be like,
about it like months ago, but I'm sure something new has developed on that.
did you hear about I mean
Oh
I
no,
don't
what I heard in the past that he wanted to buy Greenland. He's yeah. So now he's saying he's going to take it over.
take it over, buy it. Yep.
Oh, fantastic!
So
Welcome to America.
and Canada too. Did you hear about that?
What?
Yes.
Oh God.
Then there's some people who are okay with it,
You
evidently.
know, what about all the folks that want to move to Canada to get away from him? And now he's saying,
Well, I guess that's not gonna work if we take it over.
"Oh,
He'll be
I
like,
mean,
"Welcome back."
I don't know how King Charles would handle that if he'd like
Oh,
that, you know."
oh my goodness. Yeah, but those are some of the things. The inauguration is next week.
Oh my
Are
goodness.
you excited? Are you gonna watch it?
No, no. Actually I have been trying to tune out of politics for the last few weeks, especially during December during the holidays, because I want to relax my brain. And I knew watching that stuff and listening to that stuff would just piss me off. So I really tried to let go of it.
Well, I still feel like even though he's saying all this crazy stuff, I just don't think it's just so many things that he's not gonna do.
Oh, he's not going to do 99% of it.
Mhm.
But the 1%, we don't know what that 1% is going to consist of.
Yeah,
I mean, he's
uh
a showman. He's a showman. So, he's trying to just keep over everyone's attention. He thrives on getting people's attention, right? He needs that to survive. It's like his blood. He needs that attention. That's all he cares about. And
there's that. Well, word on the street is that he's also concerned about his legacy now, since this is his last. So he is not going to go too far, but it'll be interesting to see what kind of pushback he either gets from the far right in the party and also to anybody within his cabinet. So yeah.
yeah.
Hmm.
And did you see the drama that unfolded when during the election of the House Speaker? That was ridiculous.
Oh, you mean the woman whose husband refused to shake Kamala's hand? I mean, Vice
No,
President
I'm still no, I don't
Harris.
even know what you're talking about. I'm
Oh,
talking about
oh,
getting the votes they needed, the Republicans,
oh,
and
for Mike Johnson.
yeah, in order for him to get
Hmm.
they had the far right holdouts, which is pretty funny, pretty pathetic too.
Well, the far right holdouts, they're all up in arms too about Indians and H-1B
Oh
visas
yeah, yeah. Oh
and
yeah,
being
there's a lot of
hardcore
hate
racist about it.
online. Yeah, there's a lot of hate online about all that. Um, which is it's interesting. It's like, you know, I think what people have to understand is immigrants are not taking their jobs. The jobs are here if you want it and can achieve it, then it's there for you to take. So, the problem is not that people are coming from outside and taking your jobs.
Yeah, and I mean, America's always been like that, right? And then you add on, the atrocities of what happened to the indigenous people, slavery,
Yeah.
things that happened to people who were Irish and Italian, etc. I'm not putting them on the same plane, Jewish people, but I mean, there's always been a huge amount of hatred here, and I'm not putting them on the same plane because they're not on the same plane in my mind.
Mhm.
But I do want to speak to that being a thing, and here we are again. So, but you know, this country was built on immigrants. They were built. People don't like to hear this, but it's immigrants. There was slavery. There was, you know, land that was taken from people who were here before. I mean, it was all of those things. And I just,
How can anyone here not approve of immigrants when you come from immigrants? Everyone here, right, is an immigrant. So how can you hate other immigrants just because they're newer? It doesn't make any sense. And like I said, if you're a citizen here, if you're competent enough and you want the job, it's there for you to take, right? So the people that are coming in are not taking jobs that you deserve or that belong to you. They're taking jobs that are available for them to take, and the the people that are hiring them need qualified candidates to do the job. So
yeah, and there's some things where people are going to just are hard workers and they're going to do the work. And but people say everyone here is an immigrant. That's not 100% true. It's not 100% true,
well, the
right?
Native Americans, right, correct.
They are not. And then also two people who are descendants from slaves, they were not immigrants, right? They're
What do you
people who
mean?
were here. I mean,
Yes, yeah,
I
but
mean,
they're
and
from
I just
outside.
no, but here's I don't like the whole. I get it. Nobody wants to talk about quote unquote identity politics, but here's my thing. My thing is that's fine. We don't have to do that, but can we at least be honest about all the history? Like, if you're going to say you don't want to have, you know, history segmented out, that's fine, but you can't just erase a part that
Yeah,
makes you uncomfortable
yeah,
because of what it happened. It happened. It was a part of the
yeah,
economic engine of the world. Slavery by Europeans, slavery by Americans. It was a part slavery by South Americans.
yeah,
It was the economic engine, and they took people and they enslaved them and they put them in chains and
yeah,
they didn't have rights and all of that. All of that happened. That's not immigration though. But you still have
yeah,
people who are descendants of those people who are here, and independent of what people may think, though a lot of people that who are descendants of slaves are very hardworking too and
yeah,
qualified and do things and did things to build this country. And I don't think that we can have a conversation about immigrants and indigenous people and then say, oh yeah, but I'm not going to talk about slavery because it makes me uncomfortable
yeah,
and I don't like it. You're not putting that on anyone. You're just stating the fact that it happened.
yeah,
And the easier we can have conversations around that, the easier it'll be for us to just have the conversation and then keep it moving.
yeah, yeah.
Wow, you're saying, yeah.
I agree. And
Oh,
it's not there's and when it comes to schooling, in addition to kind of erasing certain parts of history, there are also parts that they're not erasing it, but they're not talking about it. There are a lot of different things that happen across the world, across different countries that they're just not taught in school, but they're very important. So I think it's you know there's erasing and then there's also picking and selecting, which is also bad. We've got to know what goes on to the children that are growing up, that are being educated, need to understand what's going on around the world, not just
Yeah,
selected items.
I agree. I mean, it's all of our history. If we're all Americans, it's all of our
Yeah.
history. It is what it is.
When
And
I was growing up, in my grade school, it was very, it put Europe in a very positive light.
okay, so this is when people start talking about quote unquote identity politics, when they're like, "Oh, this is light and this is that," and da da da. And I mean, like, I get that. It's true. It is very Western focused, but also too, even though it is Western focused, at the end of the day, this is a Western civilization. Like the United States is a Western civilization. It is. How that came to be, that's a whole nother story, but it is a Western civilization, so there's going to be that focus. But you have to tell all of the story. You can't just tell part of it. And that's my
Yeah.
perspective. Can't just tell part of it. And I think too that when you're in other countries, they're going to have a focus that's different. Like what their center is in terms of what their history is, it's going to be different. And I think that that's acceptable when you're there. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. Like, I don't understand. I guess
Yeah,
I'm so
if I'm
naive and oblivious because I just am like, can we just, I don't want to say get along, but I'm just so tired of all of this.
Robbie, we're animals. We can't get along. We can't
Okay.
just all get along.
That's not
We're
true. Have you seen The
barbarians.
Lion King?
Stop. You know what I really hate about you is that when I'm
What do
talking to
you
you,
hate about me?
when
What?
I'm when I'm talking to you, I
Mhm.
use the word God more than I do with any other person I'm talking to, and I find that very disturbing.
You think it's disturbing. I think it's great. I just, sometimes these things happen
For a
inorganically and
reason.
organically. You have, yeah, everything happens for a reason, Stephen.
Oh boy.
Okay, well, maybe we should end on that note.
Thank you, my friends, for joining us on this journey today.
Thank you, everyone, for listening to us. This is Miscellaneous Candor, frank, honest, and otherwise outspoken. Please listen to us, follow us. Soon, I know I mentioned this, we're going to have another email address. You can reach out to us. Look for more of us. We're on Blue Sky, by the way. We're on Blue Sky, just because it's a new platform, so we can kind of build and grow organically on there. So follow us on Blue Sky. And yeah, I mean, that's it. I mean, we're gonna have some other social media. Um, what is it?
Presents.
Yes, thank you for filling in that word. It's late. Social media presence, but we're building that. Those platforms are a little bit more mature, so that's going to take a different approach. But Blue Sky's new. It's out there. It's growing quickly every day. So yeah, you can find us on there. All right, like, follow. This is the end. Stephen, I want you to have the last word. I know you say goodbye, but do your famous goodbyes, please.
Thank you, my friends, for joining us. It is I, Stephen Kennedy, your board certified atheist, and
Robbie?
that's right.
Okay. All right, everyone. Have a great and wonderful week. See ya.